Hi, everybody. I am Barb Steinberg. I'm a teen life coach and a parent coach and a speaker on teen girl issues. And today I have brought one of my very talented, very knowledgeable colleagues, Jamie Shannon, here, and we're going to talk about social anxiety. But before we dive into social anxiety with our girls and what that's all about and how to help them, I want to introduce you to Jamie and learn a little bit more about Jamie. She's a teen life coach for girls in the Washington State area. So Jamie, tell us a little bit more about you and what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Barb. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited. I'm a teen life coach, and I've been working with teenagers since about 1999, and then formally opened my life coaching practice in 2011. So since then, I've been working one-on-one with girls, and I also do group online coaching, which has been super fun. I'm super passionate about this topic of social anxiety, mostly because I struggled with social anxiety terribly when I was a teenager, and I didn't have a word for it. So it's been fun now as an adult mentor to be able to go back and offer relief for these girls who are struggling so badly.
That is kind of amazing that you just said that you struggled with social anxiety as a child, because I did as well.
You did.
And I didn't know there was a word for it.
See, I think that's the beauty of growing up in this age of information, is that we have words for things. But no, I just thought that everything was hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I just thought everybody walked around with intense anxiety about the smallest of interactions.
Yeah. And that's not the case.
It isn't. I think, and I also believe that having had these types of issues as a child, I think really helps us to be even more compassionate and sensitive and helpful in this area.
Absolutely. I think that that's our best training, right? Because we can actually walk in our client's shoes and know what it was like and help them from a place of like authentic care and concern.
Totally. Yeah, so let's dive in a little bit and help those listening understand what exactly is social anxiety and how is that different than just being a shy, introverted kid?
Okay, well, sometimes I think there's some overlap. It's hard to distinguish. So when I work with girls, I use terms like socially shy. Girls will use terms like socially awkward. I try to avoid the word awkward, but girls love it. They apply that to themselves all the time. But being socially shy and being socially anxious can be very similar. So the way I distinguish the two is that a socially shy person might have a hard time joining in a group conversation, but she still might do it. Whereas a socially anxious girl probably won't put herself in that situation ever because it feels terrifying. So it's almost like there's a scale, right? So there's a gradient from socially shy to socially anxious.
Yeah, absolutely. The girls that I've talked with and worked with, it's a little different in that the fear and the anxious feeling doesn't match the perceived threat.
Yeah.
Raising your hand in class.
Right.
Or asking for something that you need, or you didn't understand something, or, even just use some of the examples that I've heard, girls, when they think about the idea of like calling a store and seeing if they have a certain size of a piece of clothing they want to buy. They're like, absolutely not, never, I would never do that.
Or even ordering a drink at Starbucks.
Yeah, or calling online and ordering food over the phone. They're like, no, I would rather.
I have a sweet client who comes in about once a week. She's getting so much better, but she'll come in to make all her doctor's appointments and leave her voicemails so that I can coach her through a script. Like, that's how terrifying just simply picking up the phone and leaving them messages.
Yes, that's a perfect example of how coaching can help.
Yeah. And actually what's cool about this girl is she used to be so terrified to the point where she wouldn't make the calls that we would literally write out a script. And now she's to the point where she doesn't need the script. And she went back to school, got her GED, her driver's license, and all these other amazing things. So I think what I love most about working with girls with social anxiety is just the fact that there's so much hope. You can work through it. It's not one of those things that you just have to say, oh, I guess this is my life. It absolutely doesn't have to be. And I think girls think of me as extroverted and outgoing, but I say, no, that's actually not the case. I just learned the tools that I need to so that I can step into those social situations with confidence.
Oh, I love that. So you and I are both kind of walking examples that you actually can grow and change and be more of who it is that you want to be and be a little bit more comfortable out in the world socially and when you interact.
Yeah. And then how to take care of yourself. So if you go and do that a lot, then you need to come home and put on your pajamas and just relax and stay in a safe place to rejuvenate and refill your cup.
There's nothing like PJs at home, that is for sure.
Totally.
Okay, so next question. So how would a parent know if their child is socially anxious? What signs and symptoms would they see?
I notice that girls tell me that they'll come home and say, well, nobody likes me at school, or I have no friends, or people don't talk to me, or I don't like anybody at my school. It's these blanket black and white statements about life at school. So that's one sign. Another might be that they spend a lot of time in their room, and then parents talk to me, they ask me, and they're like, well, why doesn't my daughter have the traditional high school experience? Isn't she supposed to be going to football games, getting invited to dances? If you notice that your daughter is spending a lot of time in her room, you might want to dive into that a little deeper and figure out her why. Why isn't she doing those things with friends on Friday night?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know some parents, they kind of the examples we used before, when they're out and about with their daughters and their daughters are not speaking to other people, and they just think that she's shy, rather than there might be something a little bit more going on. She might need a little bit more support and coaching around being able to interact with others.
Yes, and it's tempting for parents to jump in and do those things for girls, I think, especially because, you know, sometimes it starts at a very young age where ordering food at a restaurant just feels like too much. So parents will then go and order, and that just becomes kind of a habit, but it can be pretty detrimental to a girl's success. So I encourage parents not to do anything crazy, but you know, it is important to be able to order your drink at Starbucks and order from the waiter or waitress at a restaurant. So I encourage them to practice those baby steps that they know are age appropriate, and just let the girl continue to practice that over and over rather than doing those things for her. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I think, you know, with the parents that I've worked with, you can see as a parent, you don't want your child to suffer. You don't want it to be hard for them. You don't want to put them in situations that cause them to feel uncomfortable or anxious, right? So as parents, it's a natural response to want to help. And sometimes our helping is kind of doing a little bit too much in some cases. And would you agree that one of the responses with social anxiety, if you have it, is to want to avoid those situations that cause all the anxiety and fear?
Of course. I think that's the most interesting part about it, actually, is that it's the anxiety and the fear is meant to keep the girl safe. So she feels she's in danger when she goes out into these social situations. So her brain is really trying to keep her safe, yet she's not in danger. So it's about balance, I suppose. But yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, I love that you said baby steps, because I know with some of the girls that I've worked with, you talked about the gradient scale, and we would talk about what's a 1 on that anxiety scale and what's a 10.
Oh, that's one of my favorites, Barb. I don't know if you can see this, but this is a tool I use all the time with girls. So it's an exposure ladder, but we set a big scary goal up here, and then we plan out how she's going to get there. And so this is scary, but we start down here at a 1, and it could be making eye contact with peers at school. It can be saying hello to the person when they sit down during math class. It could be making, you know, so a lot of girls with social anxiety, they walk down the hall with kind of this staring at the ground. So one of those really low level practicing can just be to lift up your eyes and look for opportunities to make eye contact with people. Most girls think that is terrifying, because to make eye contact is to be seen. And then if you can be seen, you can be judged.
Yeah.
That becomes scary.
Yeah, you just brought up the next point that I wanted to talk about, which is what are the beliefs and what are the assumptions of girls about, you know, where does that fear come from? They've got thoughts in their heads that lead them to the fear of, I'm not going to do this thing. I'm not going to ask for my drink at Starbucks.
Yeah.
But what's going on in their heads?
I think that there's a lot of things going on in their heads, but if I had to break it down to like the bottom fear, it's the fear that if they knew me, they won't like me. Yeah. It's that deep fear. And there's a million others. It could be like, I don't believe what I have to say is important, or if I try to join this conversation, they could turn around and walk away and I'll feel totally rejected. There's all of these things, but at the core of it is, if they knew me, they might not like me.
Yeah, definitely. So exactly. So they might be leading with, I'm going to be embarrassed, I'll be humiliated, I'll offend someone, I'll say something wrong. And then the ultimate fear is, I won't be liked, I won't be included.
Yeah.
Be rejected.
And I think that it's false to assume that young people just naturally know how to make friends. Some do, But for a good portion of teenagers, they actually need to be taught those skills. So a lot of girls, and maybe something else parents can look for, is they'll have very superficial friendships. They're not deep, they don't talk about life, they don't share thoughts and feelings, but they might go to dance class together, or they might be involved in theater, and they're friends, but they don't know how to dive deep and really make those human connections, which I think is like one of the things that people need most, is just to be truly seen and known by other people, especially age appropriate peers.
Absolutely. I would agree. So many girls that I work with kind of not only maintaining friendships, but creating friendships is kind of a number one goal. And if on top of that, you have this feeling of social anxiety inside of you, that just exponentially makes it harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're in your mind and you're trying to figure out the perfect thing to say so that you won't be judged, then you can't be in the moment. And other teenagers don't know how to, they just think that you're shy or you don't want to be a part of that conversation. They don't get it. So most girls that I work with they're very much in their heads most of the time. And that makes it hard to really be involved in a social situation.
Definitely. And that's kind of, I think, painful for us, the adults that care about these girls, to see. We don't want them to be lonely and to not feel like they have some sense of, capability and control over their world. Yeah.
I think loneliness is the scariest thing for teenagers. And I won't go into it too much, but I think that for girls who are naturally socially shy, smartphones have made it even more difficult, because you can kind of like participate in life without being involved in it. So it's kind of made it even scarier for girls, because they know what's going on, but they don't know how to be a part of it. So I call that being an observer rather than a participant in life. And so, smartphones have kind of formed a barrier between them and the life that they want.
Yeah.
They'll feel like they're socially involved, but are they really, when they're just scrolling Instagram and liking people's posts? I mean, that's not enough connection in my mind.
Yeah, and I think so many girls would agree, if we really dove into it, that I'm not really feeling connected. I'm not really getting, feeling like people have my back and they really know me and really like me.
Right. Or if I'm having a really hard day, I have someone that I can reach out to and share. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, what are the different causes of social anxiety in girls?
Okay. I think that smartphones play a big role in it. I think it's just become really easy to feel like you're a part of stuff at home in your bedroom. So I'm not going to say it causes social anxiety, but it definitely doesn't help for shy girls. A cause might be something that happened that was felt traumatic to a girl, maybe in elementary school or especially middle school. I mean, we should all be able to skip middle school, right? It's a tough time. It's just tough. But so sometimes it'll be, I hear this story a lot, like, oh, I used to have these friends, we were really close, then one day they just decided they didn't want me to be part of their friend group. So we call that icing out, right? That is so painful for girls. So a lot of times it's like they can pin it down to the situation where they felt not good enough. And then sometimes anxiety, it just kind of runs in families. So that too. So cause is sometimes situational, sometimes a whole mess of things like hormones and puberty and feeling insecure, and that just can kind of grow and transform into what we call social anxiety.
Yes, absolutely. That shyness can grow for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what can parents do? And this is a big question, and there's no way we're going to be able to, tackle it all in these few minutes, but what can parents do to help their girls who are socially anxious?
I highly recommend looking for peer activities that they can get their daughter involved in. And there might be a lot of pushback. This isn't probably something that most shy or anxious girls are going to sign up for, but it is so important. So whether that's youth groups or activities, clubs, sports, getting them out there and not letting them do what they sort of naturally want to do, which is revert into their room or retreat into their room and shut the door. So I just recommend getting them involved, even if it is painful, but getting them out there, getting them around peers, giving them a place where they might potentially connect with someone their age.
Yeah, so you bring up such a good point, because, you showed us the ladder, which we both use, and there's no opportunity for practice. You used the word exposure, right? So in order to practice these skills of being out in the world and interacting, there's no way to practice if I'm hiding in my room, right?
Right.
So kind of what we said earlier, parents, I think sometimes wanting their children to be comfortable might not push for, we got to pick an activity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's so many statistics that prove the fact that being involved in a school sport, for example, changes the school experience. Yeah. That's the place where friendships that are superficial can grow deep just because of the amount of time spent together and just that having that unique bond and the love for the same thing. So I'm a firm believer in being involved in something and helping them find a passion.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking to me. One of the girls that I coach, who is very socially anxious, she actually is part of her improv team at her high school.
You know, that doesn't surprise me at all. You want my theory on that?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of girls I work with that struggle with social shyness and anxiety, they are playing leads in their school play, they're singing on stage, they're performing musical instruments on stage, and here's my theory, is that then they can step into a role. So they can be that person they want to be, they can shine on stage, but it's not really them, it's this role that they step into, so they feel confident and it's a place they can shine. To me, that says that they're capable of shining in all areas of their life, but it's just really interesting if you ask a girl who, say, performs in the theater, yet is also very shy, she might not even be able to put words on it, but it's like stepping into somebody else and just being able to be who you want to be. It's like it takes the pressure off and it feels less vulnerable when you have a reason.
Feels a little safer to be in the role.
Yeah.
We talk about how it's the Beyonce syndrome, how she gets.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. We all have a Sasha Fierce inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about our final question, which is, as coaches, bringing our girls that have social anxiety, or even our girls that are merely shy but still want to gain some tools and some skills, how can coaching help them with that?
Oh, I think coaching is the best way to help them with that, because coaching is all about starting where a girl is right now and getting her to where she wants to be. It's action-oriented. We set goals. We offer accountability and support and a place to cry when things don't go well, but it's always forward moving. Yeah. So that's my favorite thing about the coaching model. And I think for girls that struggle with light depression, anxiety, social anxiety, coaching is awesome because we can help them get out of where they are rather than stay stuck in it.
Absolutely. And nobody wants to be stuck, especially if you're a teen girl, when the whole job of being a teenager is moving forward, is developing and growing and becoming that young adult that you want to be.
Yeah. I think that one thing I want to point out that parents miss is that parents want to just assume that everything's going to get better on its own. And time after time, what I've seen is that a socially shy and anxious girl left alone will grow more so. She won't just magically fix it herself. So it is really important to find somebody with the right tools and the right training to walk alongside your daughter to get out of that, because it doesn't just go away. In fact, the girls that are in high school struggling with shyness and anxiety will be the girls in college struggling the same way. And those girls oftentimes come home and then the whole trajectory of their life is different than it could have potentially been if they would have had these tools. So I encourage parents, the cost of doing nothing is huge. It could change every aspect of your daughter's life, or you can jump in now and provide her the support that she needs and deserves, and everything could be different from this day forward.
Yeah, these really are life skills. They're not just skills for middle school and for high school. This really will change the rest of her life for sure. Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add, Shannon, that I didn't, Shannon?
It's okay. This happens.
All the time.
Barb, every day.
You have two first names, Jamie.
It's hard to have two first names. Is there anything else I want to add?
Yeah, anything that I didn't ask or that you want parents or girls to know about this?
I think I would just say again that there's so much hope, that this is something that is workable. And I think it's workable more quickly than parents could ever have dreamed. So if your daughter's struggling and you want help for her, reach out. We have the tools. We can make it happen.
Absolutely. And not only that, we love to work with teen girls. That they are our passion. They are
my job, right? Every single day I just pinch myself and think how I couldn't do anything else. This is it.
The best job ever. Totally. And I was reading on your website, you're just like me. I think one of the reasons why we got into this is because we think back to when we were teen girls and how different our growing up would have been had we had a Jamie or a Barb.
I totally agree. And I think I desperately needed it, but you know, it didn't happen. So that I'm glad it didn't, because I learned so much in those years, and now I'm able to provide the help and support to girls that I wouldn't have if my life had been smooth sailing through those teen years.
Yeah.
So no regrets, but yes, it's definitely made this a very powerful career path, and I'm so blessed.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing your expertise and your knowledge and your passion today. And when folks look at this video, I want you guys to look below the video, and you will see all of Jamie's information if you want to contact her, and if you would like her daughter to get some help, she's available.
I also have a free parenting group for parents of socially shy or anxious girls, which is a wealth of resources. There's about 500 other parents in there who are also struggling to raise anxious girls, and it's a nice place to be able to ask questions. And I do weekly trainings and tutorials and Facebook Lives in there as well.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll share the link.
Great. Yes, share that, and we'll put that up for everybody. So thanks so much, Jamie, for your time today and your wisdom.
My pleasure. It was nice chatting with y'all.
Okay, bye.
Bye.